We are on Facebook and YouTube Live. Let's wait for a couple more people to log in to the live. Let's give it a couple minutes. Let's give it like 10 minutes. This live was supposed to go on last week. We had a few technical difficulties, so we were only able to do it on Instagram. So now we're doing it on Facebook. We're just waiting for a couple of people to log in.
Yeah, last week we found out that we're not so tech savvy. We're working on it.
Okay, so all right. Well, hi guys, we're waiting for a couple more people to log in to our live. We're gonna be talking today about title insurance. So if you don't know what it is, make sure you stay watching our live because you're gonna learn a lot today. So this is a good live for realtors that are new in the business, or maybe been in the business for a long time and don't know what title insurance is, or for any home buyers. We're specifically tailoring it to any home buyers or any home sellers that want to learn a little bit more about title insurance. So give me a thumbs up, comment if you have any questions throughout the live. We're going to start in a few minutes. Just waiting for a couple of people to log back in. Log in. There you go. We have a beautiful Miss Jennifer with her beautiful smile over there. And Sunny.
Excited.
Okay, so okay. All right, we have a couple more people logged in. Let's just wait. So it's 6:05 to start the live. Stay with us, guys. We're going to be talking about title insurance shortly. I have Miss Jennifer from Sunny Title, and we're going to be giving you a lot of good, valuable information that you need to know, whether you're a home buyer or a home seller. So just waiting for a couple more people to log back in. We'll start in a few. Mm-hmm. 6:05, we're starting. 6:05. Let me know. 6:05. Starting in 2 minutes. And you can also, if we have any questions, you can respond in the chat. I don't know if you see it, Jen.
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So let's get started. If more people log back in, then we'll take a moment to reintroduce exactly what we're talking about. So we have a couple people logged in. I think we're ready to start. Thank you so much, guys, for taking time to be with us during our live. What we're going to be covering today is title insurance. I think that it's a very important topic to talk about in the real estate buying or selling process. It's not talked about enough. I think a lot of the content, even myself, that I put out has been about lending, or has been about what the home buying process is like, or how an agent helps you in the process. But there hasn't been a lot of information on title insurance, and it's a super important topic. And I'm going to introduce my guest that's going to be giving us so much information, and she is amazing. But first, I wanted to let everybody know that we are both wearing pants. For anybody that has questions, we are both wearing pants. I know There was a guy that went on TV and was not wearing pants, but we are, okay? So That's the first thing. Miss Jennifer with Sunny Title. So her and her husband own a very successful title company in Miami, and she has been helping my team with a lot of our transactions. And her team is incredible. So I brought her today so she can talk to us about what title insurance is, how her company helps agents close deals, and she's going to be answering all your questions about title insurance.
Yes.
Hi, Jen. Say hello.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much for having me. Super excited. I feel like title insurance is the least talked about subject when it comes to real estate. We all know what realtors do. We all know what lenders do, but title, we're kind of left out. And maybe that's just one of those things that most of the time people just relate buying a house. And when it comes to title companies as like, this is where I go sign my documents. And even though that is probably my favorite part is closing day, there's so much more that has to go into it in order for us to get to that closing table. So I'm excited to talk about the subject. It's something that I've been doing for over 15 years. I'm very well aware on how many deals I've been able to save because our seller had a title insurance policy. So I'm excited today to share that information with you all.
Thank you, Jen. So we're going to start out with basically the most important question. What is title insurance?
So title insurance is a policy that covers a homeowner for any issues that occurred prior to them owning that property. That's like the boring definition, right? That's kind of like straight to the point. Okay, your policy, you cover me. Nice, thank you. One of the things that I like to say what the difference between title insurance and other insurances like health insurance and car insurance is that we cover for the past versus homeowners insurance, car insurance. It actually covers you for any issues you have in the future. So it's our job to make sure that when you buy a house, that dream home that you're buying doesn't turn into a nightmare. So we want to make sure we check title, we clear any issues that come about.
Yeah, and Miami and Broward, because we work both markets, Miami and Broward. It's one of the most interesting markets, I would say, all over the U.S. I mean, I have realtors that are friends of mine that are in other areas, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, you name it. And this market is unique because everybody in Miami, maybe some home sellers, some home buyers are very creative when it comes to their homes. So there's a lot of things that we have to make sure and take extra precaution. Maybe illegal additions or things that are done unpermitted. So that's what we're looking for to make sure we're giving you a property that's good and has marketable title. So we want to avoid, like Jen said, we want to help you and make this process a happy, good process. So that takes a lot of work to make sure that you're buying a property that's not going to give you any headaches in the long run.
Absolutely.
So you kind of went over what title insurance is. So when and what step in the process would somebody need title insurance?
Okay, so basically as a title company, we don't come into the picture until you're already under contract. So as you're searching for your dream home, as you're getting pre-approved with the lender, we are yet to be in that picture. We get into the picture day one, contract is executed by all parties, and that's where we come into the picture. And we have anywhere from normally 30, 45 days to get you to the closing table. At that point is when we're introduced into being part of that team.
Okay. And for me, as part of my process, when I meet with buyers, I make it part of the process to go over what the title company is and what they do. Because a lot of, like you said, like a lot of buyers will be introduced to the title company once we're already under contract. So they don't know who you are. And a lot of times they're confused. Who is this person that's asking me for this information, or where am I going to be signing my documents? So I make it part of my process to let you know what the title company is. To my knowledge, I don't go over fully what the extent of your work is because it's a lot and only you and your company are able to go over that. But I make that introduction so my buyers are more prepared. I think it's important because just things that I learned with experience and with transactions, that I like the buyer to understand the role that every person plays. Who is the lender and what are they doing? Who's the title company and what are they doing? Because it just makes the process a lot easier for everybody. It makes the process a lot easier for you when they know who you
Absolutely.
are.
And it also helps them you set those expectations for them. You know that title's going to come. we're gonna, at one point or another, hopefully sooner than later, we're gonna be a part of the process. So it's also good to be able to let your buyers, your sellers know that the title company exists. And a lot of times, you know, the consumer now, the buyers, the sellers, they want to know more. They want to call ahead of time and sometimes ask questions, and we're able to already assist them even before they get into contract. So I've seen that become more popular as time has gone by, is that we're getting calls even before someone's in contract, and they're doing their homework. They want to know exactly what it is that we do, and they want to hear it directly from us.
Yes. And in the subject of that, so who would choose the title company? If I'm looking to buy a property or I'm looking to sell, would it be the buyer or would it be the seller?
So again, since both of us really, the majority of our business is Miami-Dade and Broward, the norm is for the buyer to choose the title company and pay the title insurance. The rest of the state of Florida, you'll see it actually the other way around, where the seller chooses the title company and chooses and pays for the title insurance. I as well have title agents, you know, from different states, and many states work the way the rest of the Florida does, where seller chooses title company and pays the owner's policy. But when it comes to Dade and Broward, because we're unique, because we do things different, we need to stand out, it's the buyer who chooses the title company.
Yeah. So when I work with my clients, when I work with my buyers, I make sure to work with a good title company, because that's important too, to work
Absolutely,
with somebody that knows what they're doing, has been in the industry for a long time, and is reputable. So that's super important. Give me an estimate more or less, how much is title insurance?
So title insurance, it's actually a shock when people find out how much they pay in title insurance. You know, when a buyer is paying cash, it's not required for a buyer who's paying cash to buy title insurance. On a deal, just to give you an example of a cash deal of $100,000, we're talking about it would cost a cash buyer $575, and that $575 is a one-time fee. They don't have to renew it every year. They don't have to renew it every 6 months. It's paid the time of closing, and it's good for as long as they own the property, whether that's 10 years, 15 years, 100 years. It's good for them and their heirs. So if they were to pass away and leave that property over to their children, their wife, you know, whoever it is that they want to leave it to, that would also cover that person as well. So for me, an investment of $575 for a $100,000 property is really, you're not talking about when you're protecting your rights and making sure that the title is clear. As far as financing, I'll give you an example of a property that's $250,000, right? Which is kind of like the, you know, starting point here in Dade County.
Here in Miami.
250. Somebody who's getting financing, in that case, the lender is going to require them to purchase a lender's policy. So title insurance, we have two types of insurance. We have the owner's policy and we have the lender's policy. Owner's policy protects the owner. Lender's policy protects the lender. The lender will not give you a loan unless you buy them title insurance. So for a property of $250,000 FHA, you're looking at somewhere around, for an owner's policy, $68.50. So the lender, again, is going to require you to get their own insurance. We're talking somewhere around $1,400 or so, which there's no bargaining there. Lenders just, it's not negotiable. You have to pay that title insurance. But for you as the owner to protect yourself, it would be less than $70. And again, it's a one-time fee. You don't have to renew it. For $70, to me, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, some people can't fill up their car tank for $70.
They can now because gas is so cheap. Well, you couldn't a couple of weeks ago. So can you explain a little bit, because you said there's two types of policies, lenders and owners. So if you get the lenders, would you be covered or would only the bank be covered? How would that work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's something that a lot of times the borrower says, well, if the lender's getting it and something happens, I'll just use their insurance policy. No, you cannot, because that insurance policy is only good for the lender. It's issued to the lender, and you as an owner would not be protected from with that title policy. So you do have to purchase your own.
And it's a small fee. So it's a smaller fee to purchase your owner's policy than it is the lender's, right?
Absolutely, yes. The lender's is always higher because the lender's going to base it off their loan amount. And then the difference is what you're going to pay to cover for you as an owner. So in some cases, you know, I gave you an example, but in some cases we see the lender's policy being $50, $25, just very, very minimal.
Okay. So we spoke about what title insurance is, who chooses a title company. What would you say is the role of the title company throughout the whole transaction?
So, I mean, us as a title company, we play so many parts. I want to say that the main role of the title company is, of course, to do a title search. That's the first thing we do here at Sunny Title. We want to know everything and anything we need to know about that house, and that's done day one. So that title search is a detailed search of the public records. We search everything and anything that has ever come about that property, and then we're provided all that information summarized in what's called a title commitment. And that title commitment's our checklist. It's going to tell us, hey, Sunny Title, this is what you need to do in order for that buyer to get to that closing table with a clear title. You know, just like the lenders have their checklist, they have conditions they have to submit in order to get a buyer approved. You as a realtor, you have your checklist of what your buyer wants and doesn't want, what area they want to live in. Those are your checklists. Our checklist is that title commitment. That's what we, look at. We want to make sure that everything is covered on there. We're also part of handling, of course, the funds of the transaction. So even though the lender's lending you that money, when it comes to time of closing, all those funds are submitted to us, and we're responsible for dispersing them as well. Of course, we have everyone's favorite, day, closing day. That's
closing day.
That's what we celebrate. That's where we actually, more importantly than celebrating, of course, and taking pictures and toasting, we definitely have to go over those terms. We're verifying all the information. That's the day for you to come in with all your questions. We have some people who have a ton of questions. Then we have some who are a little bit more experienced and have done more closings. So we go over all your terms, all your closing costs, everything you need to know so that when you leave that closing table, you're 100% sure of what your loan is and what the terms are. Of course, the last one is issuing that title insurance policy. So in order for us to be able to, give you that clear title, we have to go through all these other steps. And then at the end of the day, we issue that title policy. It's our guarantee. It says, hey, we've checked the title. It's clear. It has no issues. You're good to go.
Perfect. So why would you say that the title insurance is necessary if you already did all that title search and did all that work before closing? What's the importance of having it afterwards?
So that's a great question, because a lot of times, we'll deal with a customer and he said, well, Jennifer, why do I even have to buy title insurance policy? Isn't your job to check that everything is clear, that everything is paid off, that if the owner has any liens or judgments, that those are taken care of prior to closing? And yes, you're correct. That is our job. However, that title insurance policy also covers you for what's called hidden defects, things that we are unknown at the time of closing, things that are not revealed to us that may pop up later. So unlike many other insurances who say, you know what, if you bought a car and it had this issue, or you had something come up afterwards, we're not covering it. For title, we work differently. We are actually probably the only type of insurance that actually covers for things that are, even though it's not our fault, even though we didn't make the mistake, or it wasn't something that we didn't catch, it was something that was revealed after, we still cover you for that. And when I say that we cover you for that, that includes attorney fees and any amounts due to resolve that issue.
Awesome. So give me some examples, some fun examples that you've seen recently, or any situation where, not having or having title insurance helped a client in the transaction.
So I would say for the most part, everyone gets title insurance. It's very rare that you find someone that says, I'm not paying for title insurance, especially even investors. A lot of times investors think, oh, I don't want to spend that money. I'm just going to turn around and flip it. They're the ones who actually need title insurance the most, because they're investing all this money, many times cash, and now they want to turn around and flip it, sell it in a few months. And if there's a title issue that is not allowing them from closing, then pretty much they could be eating at their investment day by day. So one of my recent experiences that I felt like for me was kind of affirmed to me why title insurance is so important is I had a transaction where the seller was actually about to lose their property. They had equity, but they were about to go into foreclosure for obviously non-payment of their mortgage. And my buyer was an investor buying cash, looking to close within 15 days. It was at the end of the year, in December of last year. And I thought, perfect, we're going to close the year off. This is going to be an easy file. We're going to get it done in less than 15 days. I mean, what else can you ask for? Christmas came early.
Cash is so easy.
But to my surprise, title was pulled, and we actually discovered that the previous owner, when they had deeded the property to our current seller, there was an error on that warranty deed. Luckily, that deed they had just purchased like 2 years ago. So for me, there's a lot of good things when I see that it's something recent. It wasn't 10 years ago. One is that I can always reach out to that current seller and say, hey, did you buy title insurance at the time of closing? My seller actually did not have a copy of their policy, but I was able to go back to that title company who did their closing. And to make a long story short, I was able to get that title insurance policy from that owner, from that previous title company. They were, very helpful. They actually did, realize that there was a mistake that they made on their end. But if I did not have that title insurance policy where I can go back to the title insurance underwriter who provided that policy at the time of closing and say, hey, unfortunately, your title agent made this mistake. We're looking to close. I need a letter from you as a title insurance underwriter saying, yes, we're going to take care of this issue. Go ahead and continue with your closing. And that's exactly what we did. We submitted that claim over. Not only was the seller excited that we were able to take care of this for them, but my buyer was now also able to purchase this investment property that, for them meant a really good investment. So we were able to get it done. And I can assure you that if title insurance had not been purchased by that seller when they bought it, there was no way we were going to be able to close without that property foreclosing prior to the closing date. So it was really a win-win for not only the seller, but also for my buyer. And it just confirmed to me how title insurance in many cases will save a seller from losing their property or losing money that they could be putting in their pocket.
What are some...
Definitely a happy day.
That's when title insurance helped out the deal. So tell me, what are some things that can come up? Like, we do a title search. What are some of the major things that we see in title searches?
So when it comes to title, like the main thing that we always, 9 out of 10 times see is that the current owner has a mortgage on their property, right? Most people, when they buy a house, they take out a mortgage, they go to sell it, they haven't paid off that mortgage. So it's our responsibility to retain the mortgage payoff from that direct lender and make sure that it gets paid off at time of closing. We also see liens and judgments. So when a title search is done, it's not only done on the actual property, it's done on that owner's name. And if you have a very common name, and every it's funny because every area has their common name. Miami, we obviously have a lot of Hispanics, and we get the Jose Martinez's, the Maria Rodriguez. When you have that name as a seller, you're gonna get about 50, maybe 20, 50 judgments or liens that come up with people with those same names. It may not be your owner, but it's our job as a title company to go through each and every one of those judgments and verify that it does not belong to our owner. And if it does, then we have to, again, request a payoff. So we make sure that's paid off at time of closing. Those are like the common things that we see. Another issue that we run across a lot, because Miami is unique, Broward is unique, we have quitclaim deeds. So it's a quitclaim deed. For those of you who don't know, it's a legal document that transfers a property from one owner to another owner. But when you do a quitclaim deed, you basically give your interests up, good and bad. What ends up happening is that document, if not, created perfectly with all the verbiage that we need and all the information, then when it's time to close, we're going to be required to correct that deed that was done in the past. And you see this a lot of time where family members quitclaim deed it to a daughter or a cousin, and then they deed it back to themselves, and then they did it. And, we don't know the answers of why they do 10 deeds in a matter of 3 years, but they do it, and it's legal. It can be done, but a lot of times they're done incorrectly. And then it's our job to go back and correct them so that you don't have that issue come the future.
Yeah, like I have one of the most interesting kind of stories that I have with title insurance. Before I really had an understanding of what title insurance was, I almost could not close a deal because there had been 5 quitclaim deeds done, and it was the owner passed it over to a family member, and the family member to another family member, and then back to my owner. So it came back to the original person, but still all those quitclaim deeds were there. So until I found... And the hiccup that we came across is one of them was done incorrect, and the person was married at the moment. So until I got a document signed from the wife, we couldn't close. And to me, I just, it blew my mind that something as simple as not having it there correctly, that person was married, could keep us from closing. Eventually, yeah, eventually we got the person assigned and we were able to get it closed, but it was a manhunt to try to find this person. They were not together anymore. They did not have a good relationship, so it got a little complicated,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Those are real Miami real estate problems that we see day in and day out. And, sometimes you try to go back to that person. Now they're deceased. They're no longer. So it gets more exciting. But I will say one thing, that the majority of title issues we see have a solution. They may not be as quickly as the buyer wants them, or as the seller, or as, we want to be able to close as soon as possible. But a lot of times there is a solution. We're able to get, an answer. We're able to get an affidavit signed or whatever document we need. But sometimes we just need a little bit more time. So that's why for us, it's important that we get that title requested like day one, so that when we get that title back, if there's any issues, we have at least 30 to 45 days to get that issue resolved. And if we don't have it resolved by then we're just extending it another week or 2 weeks, or, not having to now extend it another month or so, because we do understand that a buyer's purchasing, they want to move into their property, and a seller may be selling their property to buy another one. So time is of the essence. And for us, it's important to get that done as soon as possible.
Andrew had some comments. He said Miami is corruption.
No.
No, not necessarily. No, I mean, we see some transactions that are very clean, where title is perfect and we can close and nothing comes up. And every now and then these hiccups and these things that come up, it's not the majority. It really is the smaller percentage of transactions that we do is them having these issues with quick claim deeds and things like that. It's not every transaction, but you learn. And I, throughout the things that I've encountered, I've learned a little bit about how to handle these situations. But the key is to have a good title company, because as an agent, I can't be expected to understand everything about loans or everything about title insurance, because my main role is just to learn how to be a good agent and how to represent my clients. And in order for me to do that, I need a good team. So I don't need to be the title expert because I work with a title expert. I don't need to be the mortgage expert because I work with the mortgage experts. And what I tell a lot of the clients that I work with, even if they just want to work with me, is take the time before you meet an agent to really do your research and see what that agent is about. Look at their reviews, take some time to meet with them face to face and ask them important questions about title insurance, about mortgages, about the process, because you want to be sure and confident that the person you're working with really knows what they're doing and has taken the time to learn their craft, to learn about real estate. So that's super important.
Yeah, so I commenting
Andrew
back,
is a character.
You're right. We do see interesting stuff, and sometimes the issues we see are just mistakes. So it's not like anyone was trying to, get away with anything, but it's honest mistakes. And just like that happens here in Miami, that happens all over the United States. It's just one of those things that, title gets complicated. People decide, oh, I don't want to pay someone to do things the right way, so I'm just going to do it myself. And maybe we should blame Google for that, because they give you what you think is all your great answers. But Google is not the expert. Definitely Google so you can find out information. But understand that Google is not the answer, and you should always speak to a professional when you're going to do anything having to do with your title of your property.
And Jennifer is awesome. So if you guys do a closing with me, Jennifer is going to be the one that's going to take the time to explain to you everything in the closing. And it's good to work with someone like you, because you're so thorough when it comes to the closing table. So many questions come up from the buyer about so many different things, and you take the time to explain everything, go in detail about the numbers, what it is that they're signing. So I think that gives the buyer confidence, because this is the day that they're signing this property, that they understand everything. That's super important.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, you don't buy a house every day. I always use the example of like when you go buy a car, right? Not too long ago, I bought a car and I was in shock. I thought I was going to be there for like 5 hours, because I remember the last time I bought a car, it was like a nightmare. But no, now things are digital. You're walking in, and the financing part, you're done in 15 minutes and you're walking out with your car. And I could not believe it. And I thought, wow, title can never get to this point because there's so many documents. And as we go along the process, buyers are wanting to know more. They're wanting to ask more questions. understand more things, and it's not as quickly as just here, sign. And I like to make sure that they understand everything, because especially when you're dealing with, it's not like when you pay rent, right? You pay one amount, done. But when you're buying a house, you have taxes, you have insurance. And I like to make sure that they understand the whole process, so that they have a better understanding of, one, what it is that they're buying, how much, it's like the biggest financial decision they're ever going to make. I want them to feel 150% comfortable with everything. And sometimes they'll ask me questions the day of closing, and a week later they're like, I know you said this, but I kind of wasn't, like, I forgot, or I wanted to, like, make sure I heard the right thing, and I'll go over it again. I tell them, you're my client for life. It's not just the end of day of closing is not the last day that we're going to talk. So
yeah, and the same for me. Once we close, I have clients that call me about everything and anything, and I'm there, even 2 years or a year, or whatever question it is that they have. If I can help them, I will. And it's good to have a title company like Jen too that will answer your questions, because things do come up, when they're ready to pay their taxes, they have a question, and that's fine. It's good to know that you can call your agent or you can call your title company and they can answer all your questions. Livon is saying hi. Livon's another agent. Does anybody have any questions for Jen? Any questions about title insurance that we can go over? Let me see. So I think that's it. We don't have any more questions. Thank you so much, Jen, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me, to talk to my followers, and explain, everything about title insurance. We don't get to explain every little detail because we don't want to bore you.
Yes. Title can definitely get boring, and if we go into too many examples, I'm gonna lose you. But it's the importance is what I try to put out there, just simple things so that you understand and you grasp it. And as far as when you're under contract, and hopefully a lot of you will reach out to Adelis and start looking for properties. When we actually get into the title part, we do walk you through the whole process, send you update emails so you understand. And at that point is when most people have more questions, because now they're in it. Now they understand, and now they know what they're looking for. So if any other questions come up, you can always reach out to myself or others directly, and we'd love to help you. And the most important thing you need to get from today is title insurance is a must.
It is a must.
No way around it.
There's no way around it. And working with a good title company is another must. So to everybody, if you have any questions about buying, selling, investing, title insurance, loans, whatever it is, send me a message. I'll be happy to answer those questions. If they're title questions, I'll be happy to get you in touch with Jen. If you're a real estate agent and you're looking for a great title company, I can give you Jennifer's information so you can get in touch with her. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Bye, Jen. Thank you.
Bye.